the Binance for real world assets just teamed up with XDC. Consider smash that like if you haven't done so already. You're definitely going to want to hear about why this is a big deal and why we're making such statements such as the Binance for real world assets. Let's get right into it. First thing is straight from X, and it's literally from the Zinfin XDC network. As you're about to see here, it's recognizing this new episode, and I'll get more into the whole thing here in a bit. So for one, in this particular episode, it's XDC Maina podcast. Basically, Rebecca Dawson, who is the lead of the ecosystem development at XDC network and so on, did have this conversation with this particular gentleman, and this is Surya Gudela. Okay, he is an asset tokenization lead over at Ryzer, and if anything, he's like basically the founder of Ryzer. Now you may be asking, what in the world is Ryzer? Well, we're going to get into all of that, and we're going to jump into this conversation here in a bit. But I want to highlight this gentleman because I want you to understand why this is such a big deal. So for one, this person is basically got this profile. And when you get more into his profile, it says building the Ryzer app, asset tokenization platform for alternative investments. Like it says, he's a product guy who understands the psychology of humans, right? Now watch this. When we point out more about this particular guy, he shared this recently on X that they're hiring a founder's office, product manager, but before you reach out to him, he wants somebody that is going to understand how they're going to build the next financial system, connecting two worlds: traditional finance, real estate, bonds, private equity, DeFi, on-chain assets, protocol swaps, and pools. But look what it says here where I've highlighted this. And again, this is from August 14th. He wants somebody that thinks like an entrepreneur, not an employee, not just an employee mindset, I should say, but understands both Wall Street, spreadsheets, and blockchain. Think about that. And also why a REIT and liquidity pool are cousins. All right. If you're wondering what REIT stands for, basically, on a simple search, it means Real Estate Investment Trust, company that owns, operates, or finances income producing real estate. I've covered Realio in the past, did very well on that. Myself and a few others came in at 8 cents. Some of you guys are real bullish on things like property. But when we talk about, for example, RWAs and the connections to things like XDC and what you're about to see here, even with Ripple, Chainlink, and some of the other bigger players like even Tenemos, I'm telling you, it's really eye-opening. So for one, even Fidelity Investments have covered the whole thing about REITs. Is this basically the Fidelity of blockchain moving forward? What in the world is Ryzer? Great question. To get further into this, I want to point out some other key things because it's the background of this gentleman. Again, look what it says on his LinkedIn. Tokenization platform that helps people invest, as in Ryzer. And it goes on to mention so many key things here that are very worth pointing out, I should say. So investing in real world assets, got to be affordable, trusted, and simple. All right, look at this for a moment. I don't want to get so much into everything on LinkedIn. You know, you're more than welcome to get into it. But what stood out to me is this right here. As I scrolled further down, it was Tenemos. Yeah, Tenemos. As you guys know, I've done a few deep dives about the significance of Ripple with Tenemos, or in particular, FedNow with Tenemos, and even Stellar with Tenemos. So this gentleman has a background with Tenemos. He is a senior product designer. Now again, why is this all important? Well, you're really going to see why it is. So for one, like it says, simplifying digital banking transformation with the world's #1 core banking platform. All right. Now, I am going to jump into this, but we're going to revisit the whole thing, obviously, of Tenemos here in a bit. Jumping into it, I decided to fast forward, as you see here, August 15th, okay, just roughly a few days ago. There was this interview about top real estate investment trends with blockchain you can't ignore in 2025. Listen to him, not me, about his background with Temenos. Again, a lot of people miss this. We're going to play this. We'll be back here in roughly a couple minutes. And again, his interview with Rebecca. Here we go.
But about my background, I came from the background of banking segment, especially in core banking segment, where we actually help banks to build the backend application. So they run the backend system. So I was part of the product management and product design. So and as part of fintech and banking system, so we are the first ones who get to know how the finances and the banking systems move on for at least next 10 years ahead. So in Temnos, where I spent good amount of time there, got to know around 2018, like that's where we got to know about blockchain. That story was a little funny. Like a 18-year kid actually started working with me in Temenos, and he was a blockchain engineer that time. And I had no idea about what is blockchain that time. So being a product designer, so I had to spend good amount of time explaining what are existing products in Temenos, and so that he help us on the utilization of blockchain. So that's where I got to know the power of blockchain, and eventually ended up having our own product and team right now. When we started the journey of private equities to be tokenized, so which is basically and why as a small investor only looks into bigger fintech entities to be part of the private equities, because private equity is not accessible at all. And then when I started, that market was already organized, well organized. But then I started looking in, okay, which segment is not organized, let's look into it. So that's where we ended up with real estate, even though we started journey with private equities. So I picked up real estate as a strong use case, because as you all know that it's not accessible at all. We cannot consider that as part of portfolio of assets, right?
It's very interesting hearing the founders, their journey, and of course, the reason behind you guys start this project or these dApps. So, yeah, I know that you're from T Hub and XDC Acceleration Program. Congratulations on being selected. And yes, let's go back to our topic. So, yeah, real estate is always seen as a very secure investment, right? But it's expensive, illiquid, and of course, full of painful paperwork. So can you tell us why this is still such a problem, especially with new investors?
Perfect. So I'll give you a couple of interesting aspects of investing in real estate. After FDs, which is fixed deposits and gold, real estate is the only asset class which people prefers. Apart from having certain portfolio diversifications in private equities like stocks, bonds, and sort of other financial assets. So when it comes to real estate, so far the entire industry of real estate is still with elite people. It's a fact. Whoever has a good amount of disposable amount in their hands, they're the one who actually buy the property with, let's say, in Dubai, it's around like starts with as low as 2 million dirhams. It's not that easy for, let's say, Gen Z wants to invest some sort of money or a saving in one property. It's not possible. I mean, and why it's not possible? Like we've seen stocks we can purchase, bonds we can purchase with as low as $100, and any other financial assets can also be purchased, but real estate it's not. So it's because it's not accessible, as you rightly mentioned, and it's not at all affordable, right?
Right.
um and the most important factor of this one is there is no concept of diversification in real estate. So that's how we picked up, and yeah.
So yeah, it's a huge hurdle. I mean, I myself, that's already, I mean, affordability is already a reason, and I know a lot of our viewers can relate to that. So yeah, so how do you solve this problem then? How does Riser using tokenization address these issues?
Before even thinking of tokenization, let's come back to a brief why people hesitant to invest in real estate. There are a couple of factors. One, if you're aware of it, 78% of people in the entire world don't have an access of real estate. And also 86% of investors, even if they have money, unfortunately, they don't want to take loans from the banks for a long term. Let's say for like 20 years, 25 years. As you know, real estate is the best asset class for banks to, you know, um, that's the asset the banks was created, right? So, but in deep down, people really don't want debt in their hand. They want assets in their hand. And more than 75% of people, even though they're okay with investing in real estate, they hate paperwork. They hate the process. A lot of legal issues on the property. They really don't know. Like they have to visit the property and look into that. Is the valuation good? A lot of zumbles. And do you really think 2025 people has that much time to like travel to, let's say, Thailand, purchasing a holiday home, knowing about the entire Thailand market? I don't think so. I think that's the crux of the business model that we are cracking out. And the technology is just adding value on top of that, making sure that the process is automated using blockchain or using tech at this stage, or a web3 you call. So as we know that we are kind of safe to use decentralized wallets like MetaMask, but can I bet my USDT investing in a real estate? Like it's a kind of nascent stage at this stage, comparatively Western market. So cracking out that trust, we all talk about Web3 is a solves the trust, but is it really solves the trust of gaining the trust from the end investor? So I think we are in a mid stage of it, and that's exactly what RWA trying to solve.
Okay, so clearly he references, for example, the outdated paper documents. Think about what XDC is doing with electronic documents, right? If anything, taking that to the next level when it comes to blockchain and DLT, and especially when it comes to real world asset tokenization. Get more further into this, check this out as well. We're going to take you over to, again, just a simple Google search, because when you get into it, it's literally this simple. Remember how I mentioned Tenemos? Look at this. Tenemos and Ripple have collaborated to integrate Ripple's payment technology, including the XRP ledger, with Tenemos core banking software. This guy has a background with Tenemos. Again, the partnership aims to enable faster, cheaper, more efficient cross-border payments for financial institutions. Specifically, the integration allows for real-time bank-to-bank settlements, potentially bypassing traditional correspondent banking systems. Now, again, when you understand it further, taking that to, for example, what XDC is trying to do with trade. All right, and this gentleman literally chose XDC with Ryzer. This is a big deal. Taking you also into this outline, let's reference this. And I haven't seen this guy in a while. I hope he comes back. This is Rohitku, ISO 222. Let's do it. He pointed this out a while ago, and it still pounds home today on how Temenos transacts software that users from Ripple have agnostic ledger technology. I'll restate that. Temenos transact software that uses Ripple's agnostic ledger technology, mentioned by name, in helping banks access FedNow through cloud technology. This is not just Maximus Crypto saying it. Literally going to show you an example from real people who are connected to the bigger picture. This is about roughly 1 minute. We'll be right back here in just a minute. Here we go.
Sure. So we implemented the Tenemos Transact system back in January of last year, and it's gone very smoothly for us, which is what we expected. We worked hard to make sure that would happen.
Exactly.
But concurrently with that, we're also developing a private banking lending system that will allow us to do more complicated loans and disclose on them in a regulatory fashion in a way that we need to, in a way that our other systems don't. So that private banking lending system will come online in the next month or so. And then sort of leveraging on what Phil talked about is Temenos' ability to sort of meet us where we are in the Temenos payment hub to enable real-time payments with the FedNow system. We'll be running that on the cloud because we'll be able to move to that quickly, a quick implementation. And really kind of speed us up the essence. We're one of the pilot banks in the U.S. and very proud to be working with Temenos on that.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And would you like to add to that? I'm hearing, staying ahead, time is of the essence.
This is one of the big benefits of working with fantastic partners like Commerce, is that they're able to help us drive our roadmap. So we're the technologists, we're the product company, these guys are the bankers, and I think that collaboration has worked very well for us, because all of the work that we're doing with Chuck and the Commerce team at the moment is absolutely the stuff that's really disrupting the market in the US. So FedNow, real-time payments, instant payments, that's a very disruptive part of the business right now, and we're very proud to be working with Commerce to help us develop our capabilities in that. So again, I think it's working with partners like this allows us to stay ahead of what the needs really are in the market and to make sure that we have appropriate solutions at the right time. So.
All right, I get it that a lot of you guys don't like it speeded up like that. I didn't do that. They did. Whatever the case be, I think you get the point. And if anything, watch this. take you further into this, it's the whole thing again about Temenos, just for a brief moment before we kick it more back into Ryzer, because you need to understand the deep connections here. Temenos is nothing to dismiss. They're a power player that's been around way longer technically than blockchain, right? Been around since literally I think the 90s. Check this out. From Temenos, look at the highlight. Mentioned specifically here, the integration into Temenos opens 1,600 banks and credit unions to the Stellar blockchain. I did a deep dive about that. But again, the connection to Stellar, that's a big, big deal. I know we're talking a lot about, for example, XDC, a little bit about Ripple, but it's all worth pointing out. Getting into this next particular clipping, look what it also says here in regards to Temenos. Temenos payments available in the cloud or on-premise to deliver accelerated growth, optimize efficiency, enhance innovation. Temenos' relentless investment into R&D ensures Temenos payments is embedded with the latest standards and innovations, including ISO 222. Some people were still questioning that. Temenos payments can be deployed standalone or embedded with Temenos Transact, the next generation of core banking. When combined with Temenos Transact and Temenos Infinity, the leading omnichannel digital banking platform, Temenos payments clients benefit from high straight throughput processing rates up to 99% and up to 50,000 transactions per second. I mean, say what you want. I know that we point out other things like 1 million TPS and so on, but without some of these third parties, whether it's Ripple, XDC, Stellar, and so on, it's nice to see that you have this plug of at least 50,000 TPS. Taking a little bit more further into this, check this out also from Temenos. Like it says here, if you're wondering about the RWA plug, here's proof in the pudding. RP data for real estate core logic. The Core Manager Core Logic package is an essential tool for financial institutions aiming to improve their digital customer originations strategies, for example, In Australia, this package ensures Journey Manager customers can deliver efficient, personalized experiences that meet the evolving demands for the clients. And you may be wondering, like, I don't quite get that. I get it. It's been around since 2021. In the description, look what it says: providing property information for Australian real estate. Core Logic integration provides access to property information in Australia, includes the following data sets: full address, property type, year built, property attributes, additional information, for example, geolocation, property value estimates, rental value estimate, property photos. So basically, you have this example of what is similar to what? I mean, come on, people. Here in the United States, do we not use, for example, Zillow? So this sounds as though it's a platform that scans this, but what about integrating it with blockchain? All right, just a moment. Taking into this, here's a little bit more about this particular company, because in the highlight, you see this connection, and this is Cotality. Like it mentions here, the whole thing of powerful data analysis from us to you. Transform information to expertise and data into direction. 98% plus property coverage in our largest markets. 1 million plus data points refreshed monthly. 30 years of historical data and global trends. 40-year forecast of environmental risk. Hundreds of analytical models built with purpose. Now you may be wondering, why do I cite all this? Because I want you guys to understand that this person, his background with Temenos, just because he's not there anymore doesn't mean that all that experience and all those connections necessarily just go away. You will apply what you learn with your experience to anything moving forward. So Ryzer, what in the world is it all about? Why should it stand out to all of us, right? We're going to talk a little bit more about this. This is quite the deep dive. Just in case you never seen this, again, back to Ripple for a second, because we did talk about Temenos, and I've shared this in the video. I want to pound it home again just with this screenshot. Ripple demo. Temenos T24, like it says back in November 2016, and you did see, for example, Temenos T24 kicking it over to the Ripple payment network. And again, I just don't think people realize that these things existed. And if anything, how do we connect it to the now? let's jump over to the now, because Ryzer has a RWA official account, and they had an official announcement August 13th, and look what it says. Ryzer times Lloyds Bank in the UK. We are making tokenized real estate insured by embedding insurance at the protocol level. I'm telling you guys, this is not some small outfit to dismiss. You will see literally in writing how they are basically Binance for real world assets, and hey, they basically teamed with XDC. A little bit more about this. Look at this for a moment. It mentions here not just what I just mentioned, but so much more. And basically insurance-backed RWAs. Look at this, institutional grade trust, built for scale, built for all. This is the future of real estate on chain. So that's big. And let's face it, I mean, a lot of us know about Lloyds Bank. All right, look at this also. The old all-in stocks approach is fading. With high market volatility and unpredictable cycles, investors are reducing equity and crypto exposure and moving towards stability. Capital preservation is greater than speculation. And you see here all highlights of XDC. Look at this on August 16th. In 2025, India's HNIs and NRIs are rewriting the wealth playbook. It's no longer about chasing the highest returns. It's about building inflation-proof, globally balanced, and resilient portfolios that stand strong in any market. I don't know if you guys remember that intro I did a few videos back that had Grant Cardone. And Grant Cardone was talking about how he is more focused, obviously, not on cash, but these real-world assets, like real estate. He was sharing it with his daughter. Because if you look into the history, many decades now, when it comes to the actual dollar value of what a dollar was worth in 1960 and compared to where it's worth now, it's like 80% down. That is not a winning formula. Check this out for a moment. You see here, basically speaking, that there's this thread in what is portfolio rebalancing. Look what it says here. This is crucial. So for one, it's so much more than meets the eye. I like this. Diversification. I think this is it on the end of this particular thread. So actually, I'm going to jump to the next part. Yes. Let's take you over to Ryzer app. So when I talk about diversification, I myself am diversified. Obviously, I hold XRP. I hold XDC. I do hold a little Chainlink, but I even hold some Polygon. But look what it says here on Ryzer.app. Yes, you can go there yourself. Trade with confidence, backed by the best. And like you see here, experience real estate like crypto. All right, that's important. And what you see here is it says explore the power of investing in tokenized real world assets and discover the next chapter of your investing journey. But again, don't forget about the whole thing of backed by the best. Ripple, XDC, Chainlink, Polygon. That's huge. Even Qatar Financial Center. All right. And this part, browse assets. Search and invest in our highly curated selection of long-term rental properties. Earn rental income. Sit back and earn consistent rental income from high rental assets. Sell, swap, and stake. Instantly trade, stake tokens, and boost APY. Exit whenever needed. It even cites some of this. Hotels and restaurants, farmhouses and land parcels, hospitals and nursing homes, holiday homes, co-living spaces. You get the gist. I mean, when you think about it, it's like this platform is becoming an Airbnb. They're becoming so much more than just that. I don't know if you guys remember Will Fix's coverage a while back when he talked about Lofty. Some of you guys are kind of maybe up in the air about Lofty, but you know, there's other platforms. You know, obviously Lofty stands out with Algorand, right? So Algorand's already technically doing this. But we are talking about XDC, and we are also talking about the backing of Ripple, Chainlink, Polygon. Again, I think people are really sleeping on this stuff, and they don't necessarily know what's connected to. I want to get more into some of the features about this. You also see here specifically invest in what in what's real and of course visible. Like it mentions, buy and sell real estate as easily as trading stocks, starting at $100 with instant liquidity. Think about instant liquidity. Yeah, Ripple with XRP would back that with instant liquidity, on-demand liquidity. Even with XDC, we know that it would solve the whole problem of slow paper with literally these new documents, electronic trade documents. So to me, it's obvious that Ryzer would pick those two. And would Chainlink be your interoperability solution? Sounds like that could be the case, right? Absolutely. And then maybe you need some roll-ups going on. Hence, your polygons. Now check this out. A little bit more about this. When you get into this next page about the features, well, we cover this a little bit, but it's how it works. Like it says, buy just 100. Again, this is not financial advice. Look more into it if you choose to do so, but it says invested in vetted opportunities with full due diligence. People want to see that trust layer. Earn passive income with hassle-free monthly rental payouts. This is where people point out they don't know if they ever sell their XRP. They don't know if they ever sell their XDC. Trade tokens easily in their peer-to-peer secondary trading platform. And we'll get more into this if Ryzer has a token. Again, I think it's more of a platform that ties in real-world asset tokenization for your XRPs, for your XDCs, and so on. Stake boosts extra APY. I mean, what happens when this becomes the trusted platform? And this connection to XDC? Are you kidding me? Look at this. Multi-asset on the way. Ryzer platform working hard to provide access to a wide range of asset types and benefit from holding digital assets across multiple jurisdictions. Invest in tokenized real estate and earn passive income through fractional ownership. Some people just still don't get it to this day, and I don't know why they don't. You yourself, if you're brand new to all this, and I welcome you, thank you. God bless you for taking the time out of your day to visit my platform. BTC. Do most people own a full BTC? No. You own a fraction of it. Now, tokenize that with, for example, not with BTC, but tokenized real estate. You know, let's say there's some real estate that's $500,000. You can own a fraction of that. All right. How significant is that going to be moving forward? Again, not so many people nowadays want to take full risk of a full loan on the full piece of the pie. They just want fractional and so on. Because some markets will do better than others, and some areas will do better than others. For example, nothing against people from Detroit, right? Shout out to Rue Black and so on, but maybe Detroit real estate doesn't do as well as some real estate down, for example, in Georgia. That's just a reality. Even me in Arizona, the real estate here didn't do as well as where I'm from, Oregon. But whatever the case be, owning fractionalized parts of these real world assets moving forward, it's going to be absolute game changer. It'll create a lot of liquidity, and if anything, a great yield, especially when the market goes the other way, right, to the upside. And if anything, it defeats this whole notion that Klaus Schwab introduced of you will own nothing and be happy. No. If anything, you will at least own fractions of it, but with a higher yield compared to being stuck in one particular project. Again, back to the whole idea of crypto. Like, I'm not going to be an XRP maxi, I'm not going to be an XDC maxi, but I'll be diversified within my portfolio and owning, for example, portions. Maybe some portions are larger than others of all this because it's what it's tied to. Take you further into this, I want to point some of this out. This is basically kind of like how it all comes together. And this is where we get this expression of Binance. So it says, what is the Ryzer app? Think of Ryzer like Binance, but for real world assets. While it's different from crypto, it uses the same trusted blockchain technology for transparency and security instead of crypto tokens. So there's your answer. Ryzer lets you invest in tokens that represent real assets. In simple terms, Ryzer app is a tokenization platform that allows fractional ownership of top rental properties starting at just $500. I'm telling you flat out. I mean, again, some people are criticizing the whole thing with Lofty. Some people have also criticized the whole thing of Proppy. There's pros and cons in everything. But when you look into this to see the Ripple plug, the Chainlink plug, the XDC plug, and the Polygon plug, again, back to, and I'm not a fan of this guy, Larry Fink, who, by the way, is the new co-chair of the World Economic Forum, my goodness, he pointed out all these things, and they're happening. Yes, they're happening right now. A little bit more about this. Built for everyone. Look what it says here. Mentions specifically, the Ryzer app is at the forefront of blockchain and AI tech, breaking barriers to high-value asset ownership. Again, you will own something. You won't own nothing. You will own something of high value. And it'll be an asset. It might be fractionalized, but again, think about it. And then, you know what? Let's say you do well with this. Maybe you will own a full outright of whatever property. Regulated sandbox for users worldwide. Secured yield distribution. And look what it says here. Swap and stake your assets back tokens. Starts with just $100. Interesting. And again, like it says, join the waitlist. And if you were to click on that, it will take you to a Telegram. Of course, always be careful when you go to a Telegram, because there's some people that reach out to you and they'll claim that they're good and they might not be. So again, just like anything, you gotta be careful. Now here's a little bit more about this. Built for everyone. Ryzer app is at the forefront of blockchain AI tech, breaks barriers to high value asset ownership. Tad bit more about this. Remember how it said on this page right here, Ryzer powered by mycow.io. I was like, what in the world is this mycow thing? Well, mycow says embrace financial innovation and security. And what's interesting is, of course, their mission. But again, like it says, step into the future of wealth management. So this, as in Ryzer, is built upon, or powered by mycow. That sounds pretty interesting. And like it says, mycow is here to revolutionize the way you think about building wealth. We're all trying to build wealth, right? Absolutely. This other area, assets. Our extensive range of real-world assets allows you to create diverse portfolios. Each product provides the investor with unique financial opportunities, whether it's, we see with Rice, or this right here. Some of this stuff on YouTube, I got to bite my tongue out. Bite my tongue because they'll have a hissy fit. Frustrations. Anyway, gold, plain seats, you kind of get the gist. So that's impressive to see this. The other thing I want to get back into this for a moment is Ripple. Because here's why. So when we talked about real world assets, it was a big month for Ripple with the XRP ledger, as its real world asset value surged 32.27% and DeFi total value locked jumped 19%. Amid this momentum, Open Eden is proud to be the #1 on the XRPL RWA league table for the highest growth past 30 days. Institutional grade RWA tokenizations on the rise. We're leading the charge. What happens, like again, with, for example, what you're seeing with XDC? I mean, again, think about it. And I get there's some big protocols here, like they mentioned RLUSD, Vert Capital, Archax, your Ondos, obviously Ondo, right? Black Rocks and so on. But I think this is all worth pointing out. And to have Ripple backing this platform of specifically Ryzer, that's a big, big deal. All right. In closing, something I want to basically share with you guys. From what I gathered, because I know some people are going to ask about this, and that is, like, summarize if there's like a token. Well, from what I gathered, there isn't. But in summary, Ryzer offers tokenized assets, of course, for investment. There's no confirmed information, from what I gathered, from sources about specifically the Ryzer app tokens, but, of course, being available on public exchanges and whatnot, like it literally went to CMC and, some of the other ones. But their focus is clearly on in-app token purchases and secondary trading within, of course, their particular platform. Of course, for definitive answers, you can go to Ryzer's official website, which is ryzer.app. If you're more interested, contact their support, so on and so forth. But that's what I gathered so far. Again, the backing. Ripple for the liquidity. XDC, especially when it comes to trade and tokenization. Again, the examples that this gentleman from Ryzer talked about, eliminating the old traditional paper and going with something, obviously XDC, again, electronic trade documents, that just makes sense. Chainlink for the interoperability, and maybe for some of this whole thing of your rollups that you may need with other traditional blockchain solutions. Well, you have, for example, your Polygon. So let me know what you guys think about this. I do think it's a big deal, and I'm looking to cover it a little bit more moving forward. We'll see how this thing performs. I know this is quite the deep dive. That's what I do. Thanks again so much for tuning in. Let me know if you listen to the entire outline by typing in this keyword into the comments, and that is Ryzer. R-Y-Z-E-R, and I'll know that you listen to the entire outline. The saying goes, know what you have, know why you hold it. The research trumps FUD 110%. May the Lord Jesus bless you all. We'll see you on the next one. How would you like to earn an extra $100, $200, or even $500 a day, even more than that? I have many friends that are earning money every single day trading futures on BTCC. It's a simple process, and even if you don't want to learn how to trade, you could follow a trader on the site and let him do the trading for you, and you will earn according to his trades. Sometimes I follow All the Money by Q, and his trades earn me money. He has a 93% success rate, and he earns a great percentage. So even if you don't know how to trade, there is a way to make money. But I suggest learn how to trade. Earn you some extra money on BTCC. It's easy, you don't have to KYC, and you don't have to use a virtual private network VPN. This is a wonderful site. They've been around since 2011. Give them a shot. Also, when you earn that extra money, you can store that on your Decent wallet. The Decent wallet was not affected by the recent XRPL debacle, where the backdoor of many wallets was open and there was a breach. So Decent wallet was not affected by that. Decent wallet is as safe as you keep your seed phrase. It's a wonderful product, and you can get the discount by using the link. It's the only way to get the affiliate discount, and that is to use an affiliate link. So that link is popping up on the upper right side of your screen, and it is the one that you will use. You will also get free shipping. Pick you up a Decent wallet today. Secure your assets. If you don't have them stored in a wallet and sitting on an exchange, then you're at risk. So pick you one up today. Thank you.